and welcome to Guidance Review. I'm David Pudwill, and today we'll be talking about FDA's guidance document on the effects of the COVID-19 public health emergency on formal meetings and user fee applications for medical devices, which was published in June 2020. Here are a few key pieces of information I'd like you to take away from today's video. 1. What is the impact on Q submission requests? 2. What about advisory committee meetings? And 3. Will MDUFA submission goals be affected? So let's take a look at the guidance document here. The guidance document is being released by the Center for Devices and Radiological Health, or CDRH, and the Center for Biologics Evaluation and Research, CBER. And consistent with other COVID-19 guidance documents, the guidance is being implemented without prior public comment, but comments may be submitted at any time for agency consideration. If we go ahead and look at regulations.gov under this docket number, we'll see that as of the time that I'm recording this video, there are 82 comments that have been received, some other information here, and the ability to go ahead and comment. Moving on, you can see additional copies can be requested, and any questions can be directed to DICE or at CBER COVID-19 regulatory questions at fda.hhs.gov. So here we get into the actual content of the guidance of this question and answer document. And FDA just highlights here that this represents the current thinking of FDA. And FDA has a high-level introduction here, noting that they're issuing this guidance to provide answers to frequently asked questions. And this policy is intended to remain in effect only for the duration of the public health emergency, as declared by the Secretary of Health and Human Services on January 31st, 2020, and including any renewals made by the HHS Secretary. There's also some information here related to the Federal Register or FR notice, and you can see that here, the procedures for making COVID-19 related guidance documents available. And consistent with that, as noted before, this document is being implemented without prior public comment. Here's some background, which hopefully you're already aware of, but if not, go ahead and take a look at this. And FDA specifically wants to highlight that industry should continue to monitor FDA website and public statements for guidance and direction. So here we get into the questions. So the first set of questions is focused on meetings with industry. And the first question is about what plans FDA has in place to hold previously scheduled meetings associated with submission or application reviews and or timelines. And FDA notes here that they're using technology to host teleconferences and video conferences rather than in-person meetings with industry during the current public health emergency. Until further notice, all requests for in-person meetings will be handled as requests for teleconferences, and all meetings previously scheduled as in-person meetings have been converted to teleconferences to be held on the same date and time. CBER may use teleconference or video conference meeting formats. CDRH and CBER offices have reached out to communicate this change in format to all submitters or applicants with meetings previously scheduled. And if you are a submitter or applicant and have not received teleconference information, you should reach out to FDA staff who originally scheduled your meeting. Also, if there are any questions, contact the appropriate CDRH, OHT, or CBER office directly. So here, in terms of the second question around meetings, FDA just wants to note that if you're looking to submit a Q submission, FDA is continuing to accept Q submission requests, and that, as noted above, any Q submission requests for meetings are being scheduled as teleconference meetings, or when requested by a sponsor, FDA is happy to provide written responses only as well. Then regarding advisory committee meetings, FDA wants to note that they're evaluating the feasibility of conducting advisory committee meetings virtually. They believe that they can host those meetings with current technology. and they'll work closely with submitters and applicants for specific submissions or applications that could potentially be affected, and will discuss options for pursuing teleconferences or video conference or live virtual meetings with the sponsors or applicants. In addition, regarding committee meetings that may focus on specific issues such as classification, reclassification, or general issues, these may also proceed virtually and may be identified as such in any related Federal Register notice announcing that meeting. Also of note here, last-minute modifications that impact previously announced advisory committee meetings cannot always publish quickly enough to provide timely notice, so you should always check FDA's website here and scroll down to the appropriate advisory committee meeting link for the most updated information. So then here regarding MDUFA goals and timelines, this question here focused on MDUFA submissions or applications being delayed because of the COVID-19 public health emergency. FDA notes that they're committed to the MDUFA or Medical Device User Fee Amendments performance goals. However, they are noting that they're experiencing considerable increases in COVID-19 related activities on pre-EUAs and EUAs, these emergency use authorizations, development of policies, and shifting focus on these critical activities. There are also things to note here in terms of the U.S. Public Health Service Commissioned Corps and any deployments that might be taking place there. And FDA notes that it's possible they will not be able to sustain their current performance levels indefinitely. And should a pre-market approval application or panel track PMA supplement, pre-market notification or 510K submission or de novo request miss its MDUFA performance goal, FDA will follow the missed MDUFA decision procedures, which are outlined in the guidance documents from 2017 on PMAs and 510Ks that they link, or this 2019 guidance on de novo classification requests. So here, again, FDA is highlighting in their response to this question about whether the goal dates will be extended, that FDA is, again, committed to meeting the performance goals outlined in the MDUFA commitment letter. However, they may not be able to maintain their current level of performance with respect to the performance goals and timelines. So they're effectively telling you, again, what they said above, that the cat's on the roof and won't come down, if you understand that reference. And they're effectively anticipating that they may miss more MDUFA goals than they would like, but that they will be communicating directly, consistent with these guidance documents, with the submitters or applicants to let them know about any issues, and consistent with the policies laid out here in terms of missed MDUFA decision goals. And here, this is focused on the sponsor or applicant side of things. What is FDA's policy for marketing submissions or applications currently on hold? For these submissions on hold, typically you need to respond either within 360 days or 180 days, depending on the submission type, as outlined here. Given this emergency, FDA recognizes that applicants may face challenges affecting their ability to meet these response dates. And so for those marketing submissions and applications on hold as of March 16, 2020, where the response date is on or before the date that this guidance is withdrawn following the end of the current emergency, FDA does not intend to consider a submission or application to be withdrawn for an additional 90 days beyond the relevant response date. So FDA is giving you an additional 90 days to respond during the current crisis. This policy, again, is intended to apply to marketing submissions and applications described above, regardless of whether the applicant submits an extension request. And it does not require the submission of an extension request. Okay, so FDA is really looking to head off avalanche of requests for extenuating circumstances related to COVID-19, some of which they may have already received. For additional submission types, where a response or report is due, so this would be post-approval or 522 study reports, investigational device exemption, annual reports, IDE reports, or PMA reports. If you're unable to submit the response or report by the due date because of challenges related to COVID-19, FDA encourages you to submit the response or report as soon as possible and address any questions about response due dates to the following emails here. So this next question is around BLAs, or Biologics License Applications, and the goal dates for those. And here FDA says, as with other products subject to MDUFA, the FDA is committed to working to meet the performance goals. However, with many staff members working on COVID-19 activities, they may not be able to maintain the level of performance with respect to performance goals and associated timelines. And should a device regulated by CBER as a biological product under Section 351 of the PHS Act miss its MDUFA performance goal, CBER will communicate with the submitter or applicant directly, consistent with everything above. Again, here FDA is noting to applicants if they wish to discuss flexible submission strategies because of circumstances resulting from the COVID-19 pandemic. For a CBER-regulated device, you can contact the office responsible for the product's regulation for further assistance. And then, sort of as a final catch-all response, what additional guidance has FDA provided about COVID-19? If you haven't been paying attention, FDA has a big list of guidance documents, and here they are. And here's a process as outlined in what we went through just briefly earlier, how FDA goes about this. And as of today's video, I'm sure by the time you watch this, there will be more entries, but there are 57 related COVID-19 guidance documents from FDA. So that fairly well wraps things up for us here, and I just want to say thank you very much for your time, for your attention, and I really just hope that you're able to take away a couple key messages from today's video. So first, regarding the impact on Q submission requests, there really isn't a whole lot of impact except that any in-person meetings are going to be held as teleconferences. In terms of advisory committee meetings, the FDA is currently looking into hosting those virtually as well, either by teleconference or video conference. And then in terms of MDUFA submissions, FDA has outlined that they anticipate there may be some impact in terms of meeting those goals, but they are working to make sure that they're addressing the requirements of the relevant guidance documents and also striving to meet those performance goals. So again, hopefully this video was helpful for you. I thank you very much for spending your time with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.